a ton of new content in the game for you to sink your teeth into. But as is usual with Monster Hunter, the game doesn't always do the best job of explaining everything to you. We've compiled the best advice that we would have found helpful when first starting up Iceborne. Iceborne's biggest addition in combat is the Clutch Claw, and it's a real game changer. When you aim your slinger with the left trigger, which you can now do with your weapon still drawn, you can fire your Clutch Claw at a monster and grapple onto its body. From there you have several options. First, you can attack the monster and inflict damage to the specific part you're on. Heavy weapons like the Charge Blade or Switch Axe will soften that part of the monster, leaving it susceptible to further damage for a short period. This is very useful for monsters with heavy armor that can easily deflect your attacks. On the other hand, lighter weapons like dual blades or the bow can't soften body parts, but instead will cause slinger ammo to drop. Aside from attacking with your weapon while clutched, you can also use a claw attack when clutched to the monster's head to force it to change directions. You'll want to use this to reposition the monster and then hit it with the flint shot. This attack can only be used when you have slinger ammo. The attack will unload all of your ammo and then send the monster flying backwards. If they hit a wall, the monster will fall over, leaving it vulnerable. The Clutch Claw is a fantastic tool for setting up weak points or toppling over a monster for big damage. It can specifically change up the way you approach a fight, so don't forget to take advantage of its functionality. In Iceborne, the Clutch Claw isn't the only new addition to your arsenal. Every weapon type has been given new moves. For example, the Switch Axe's Axe mode comes with a new Heavy Slam that powers it up, making Axe mode more powerful for dealing damage, where before you might have just stuck with Sword mode. It's worth spending time learning the new moves for your weapon of choice in the training area. You can check out the weapon controls in the Hunter notes. New button inputs are listed in the light gray text, and new modes and combos are listed in blue. The game is still not the clearest when it comes to telling you how to implement these new moves in combat, so you might want to spend extra time practicing to better understand how they work. But maybe after spending hours of mastering your weapon of choice in the base game, you might be interested in learning a new weapon. Well, don't worry, because the ore and bone trees for each weapon have a new rank 9 version you can craft. These more powerful versions line up nicely with the difficulty at the beginning of Iceborne, and might even be better than your current weapon. It also helps that they're simple to make, requiring some quick farming in the master rank versions of expeditions. Your Palico is no longer the only one that can use monsters as tail raiders. Simply activate Raider Ride from your item bar to summon your own mount. However, you cannot control the monster directly. Set a destination on the wildlife map and your tail raider will automatically travel there. If you don't set a destination, it will begin following nearby tracks. Tail raiders are not only a great way to quickly track down a monster, but you can still pick up tracks, grab materials, or even use items while riding them. So heal up, sharpen your weapon, or do whatever you need to do while your tail raider deals with the navigation. Once you reach your destination, you can either dismount normally or hop into the fray with a jumping attack, which is a great way to start off any fight. Iceborne introduces Master Rank, a new tier of difficulty above High Rank, and is this game's equivalent to the series' notorious top-tier G Rank difficulty. Everything in the Iceborne DLC is Master Rank, but there are also new Master Rank versions of the previous biomes and all the older monsters. Outside of being more difficult and offering new materials, there are more subtle differences in Master Rank, although the game doesn't make them clear up front. For example, using flash pods repeatedly on monsters causes them to slowly build up a tolerance, reducing the stun duration each time they're used until they eventually become immune. The resistance does eventually go away over time, but we recommend pacing out how often you use flash pods, and maybe don't give your Palico the flash fly cage. Older monsters also seem to have new attacks in Master Rank. We notice the Tobi Kadachi has a new lightning state it enters during a fight, but there are also other monsters that seem to behave the same as they do in the base game. We haven't had a chance to thoroughly test out every old monster, so we can't give you a definitive breakdown, but it's something worth keeping in mind. A minor but important change to note is how monsters behave when near death. They still head back to their nest to sleep, however, they will no longer fall asleep if you're present. So when a monster starts to head back, pause and give them a sec to get ahead of you so they can still fall asleep, giving you ample opportunity to safely capture or get the jump on them. When progressing through Iceborne, you might not notice that your old Palico equipment can now be upgraded to higher proficiency levels. Leveling them increases their effectiveness, but there are also new abilities and changes. For example, the Plunder Blade can now pull 4 materials off a monster at a time. The biggest change, however, is to the Vigor Wasp Spray, which can now be used to revive you. That's right, if you lose all your health, your Palico can save you with a Vigor Wasp and prevent you from carting. It's worth noting that this new perk can only be used once per hunt, so you still want to exercise caution. The Steamworks is a new minigame you can play at Celiana. By matching the hidden sequence of buttons, you can build up the Steam meter and earn items. It's random, so don't stress out what you'll get and just try your luck. Although there are moments when the Palicos will give you hints. In order to use the Steamworks, you'll need to fill it with fuel. You'll earn fuel by completing quests or trading in items. Eventually, the fuel will hit a cap, and when that happens, it's time to play the minigame and empty it out. You'll naturally acquire more fuel as you play, so just remember to check in on the Steamworks from time to time to win free items. This tip isn't necessarily new to Iceborne, but it's an important reminder to not just focus on the main missions and to do your optional quests as well, specifically the ones that bank you unique rewards. There are further upgrades to be made at the canteen, more space for your harvest box, and upgrades to mantles, just to name a few. But a new type of reward you'll earn from optional quests are decorations for your house in Celiana. So if you're really into home decorum, do those quests. Those are all the tips we think are helpful to know when you start playing Monster Hunter World Iceborne. If you find any additional helpful tips once you start playing the game, please put them in the comments. And let us know if there's anything